Deism. All right, there's people who think that there's a God, but they don't have a name for it, and they think that the God doesn't have rules. So, unlike Allah or Yahweh or any other name you want to call it, they don't think they have rules. So they don't think that their women should be wearing a burqa, or they should be covered up, or they can't show their hair inside of a cathedral or anything like that, or that you can't eat pork. Nothing like that. They just think that there is some sort of being out there that doesn't control everything, just created everything and just says, go ahead, do what you got to do. But I don't believe in that. I don't believe that there might be something out there. I'm not an agnostic atheist, as people would say. I'm full, I'm all the way in. I'm deep in there. Okay? And here's why. When I think about religion, or how God was started, or the concept of God, before there was, with this guy, this thing created it, and there's all these rules. Before any of that happened, before the first primate human, whatever it was, if it was a Homo sapien, whatever it was, when the first concept of came, I think of it like this: they were hunting, right? Hunting, gathering, doing that shit, living in small, tiny tribes, and I don't think there was a time where they had really thought of what had created all that. I think their most important thing on their mind was survival, and eventually, at one point, someone, man, woman, doesn't matter, came up with an idea. They were probably sitting around a campfire or the cave fire, whatever you want to call it, and the idea popped into their head. Someone was like, so this is probably like right before, like right after grunts, the language of, it was like grunts and then the language right above grunts, whatever the first language was. And they came up with the idea. Maybe something created all of it. And then the guy next to him was like, oh shit. Because they if you think about it, they had nothing else to think about. I mean, besides surviving and mating and all that shit. But when they first came up with that idea, it was probably like a groundbreaking idea. And so the whole concept, the whole idea of God before religions was made up. It was thought up. It's a human word or expression that was created. So when people think about, oh, maybe there's something up there, it's just from people's minds. It's a thought, not something that's you could test or anything like that. It's just a thought. That's why I don't agree with the whole deist idea of maybe there's a God, because it was an idea that someone came up with. But it was the first person that came up with it. All right, and then that level led on to the Mesopotamian gods, Egyptian gods, Greek gods, Roman gods, and then that eventually got whittled down from a whole bunch of gods to, oh, maybe there's just one God, and then now we're coming back to probably there's no God. This is my thought process. I don't think that there is a God. Pretty damn sure, because it was an idea. Someone came up with it. Someone thought it up. They didn't have a divine inspiration or anything like that. They're, like I said, they were probably just, this is around times when they were just cave painting and people were jerking off to cave paintings and shit. That's all they had. All right? They didn't have this full concept of how the world worked, germs, bacteria, cells, how our whole entire body is a bunch of multicellular system. That's all we are. I mean, they had no idea about any of this. And so as we progress, that's why we came up with, at first it was probably the one God, then it became the many gods, now it's the one God again, and then it'll probably be fucking zero. So that's just my thought on the whole deism thing. I don't think there is something that created the whole universe. I think it's some shit that, like George Carlin said, we're part of a vast knowledge that we'll never understand. And for someone to even think that it's a concept that a human came up with way fucking back in the day. So that's why I think people became deists, is because they didn't like regular religion. They didn't like having to say like, oh, Allah wants me to do this, or Yahweh wants me to do this, or else he's not gonna like me and shit like that, or Zeus doesn't want me to think this way, or fucking Hades, or whatever the fuck idea was. People didn't like it, so they became deists and didn't give it a name, but without understanding that it's just a concept. Anyway, that's what I think about the whole deism subject. Let me know what you think down there. Are you a deist? Are you an agnostic? Are you agnostic atheist? Are you a theist? Just let me know down there, because I truly think what I think is true about how religions and gods came into being. That one person came up with the idea, and then it just snowballed downhill. So, like I said, let me know down there. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever the fuck you want to do. I'm out. Peace.